So Denver comes away beating Oklahoma City. Do you have a final in front of you?
113-104.
113-104 in overtime.
2. Yeah, 11-2 in overtime. So we went to overtime tied 102-102.
And I think that there are a couple different ways to dissect this, in all honesty. So I think that the first place I want to talk is from the Denver perspective, because they're the winners. They deserve to be the ones who are talked about first.
Sure.
So they did a few different things, I thought. First and foremost, they made some killer shots early in this game to be able to stay in this game. This should have been a 15 to 20 point lead at halftime for Oklahoma City, and it was 5. And you can point to, Michael Porter Jr. going on like a crazy sun run. You can point to Aaron Gordon late in the game, hitting 4 of 6 from 3 and hitting some big ones late. You can point to Peyton Watson hitting 2 of 3 from 3, including a big one early on, I thought, in the first half, to kind of just slow down the energy and the tempo from Oklahoma City a little bit. But more than anything, what I think we saw was just kind of the ability to execute down the stretch for Denver. And then also the ability for them to not necessarily be amazing on defense, because I think that I have issues with how Oklahoma City ran its offense late, for sure. But they did a really good job, both from a strategy and an execution perspective, of trying to muddy the looks for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as a driver. They would send doubles at different cadences and timing. Sometimes they would show doubles when he was out front and had just gotten to the 3-point line and was just starting his drive. Sometimes they would show doubles as he just got to the elbow extended area. Sometimes it would just be a heavy help coming to him at the rim, right? I think that they made this really, really difficult for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander as a driver, especially as they recognized late in the game that it was just going to be him that was going to be trying to make this happen. So I think that where they deserve the most credit is being calm down the stretch, and also with their defensive execution as the Thunder offense went to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's important to make note of. There was offensive execution from the Denver Nuggets, big shots made by Jamal Murray. Listen, Aaron Gordon's jumper right now in this series is just I think he's making it every time he shoots it. He looks confident. It looks very fluid and smooth. He shot a good percentage all regular season, which they highlighted throughout the broadcast, and he shot a good percentage in this series. And so shout out those guys for making shots. But I did not think the defense was good for 2.5 to 3-ish quarters for the Nuggets. We talked about this before we went live. You tweeted it. I had it in my notes. This is why every second, every possession of games matters, as much as people want to say, and maybe even sometimes we just look at the very end of stuff. OKC should have been up double digits, 15 to 20 points. Their shot diet, their difficulty on shots was much less than Denver's for a large portion of this game, and they didn't make shots. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Denver. I just believe that to be true. And they didn't. And then Denver, and that's my point, is you have to. This is the game that proves it, because when you don't, and that other team has championship pedigree and Nikola Jokic, it doesn't matter if he has 8 turnovers and has missed all of his threes. He's eventually going to make a play if you continue to give him chances, and Jamal Murray will. And then to your point, the defense finally ratcheted up from the Nuggets, and whether OKC played in that or not, I will give them credit. I thought Christian Brown had some good possessions. I thought, I think it was Michael Porter Jr. Had a little dig and they caused some disruption. Jokic finally had some disruption in a series he hasn't been good defensively. OKC gave him a chance, and to Denver's credit, they took advantage of it and they closed them out late in the game, and then just, in overtime destroyed them.
And beyond that, Jokic was terrible by his standards today.
Yeah.
Just truly terrible. And by the way, like a terrible Jokic game is 20-16-6, like, which is obscene, but he goes 0 for 10 from 3, has 8 turnovers, goes 8 for 25 from the field. And we're still sitting here with a Denver victory.
Yeah.
Somehow. That's the crazy thing about this. And that's where I think that more than anything, it was the calm, the poise, the ability for them to just continue to kind of run their offense, run the show, continue to be smart and intelligent about the way that they went about things, and just be calm and cool and collected and act like they've been there before. And frankly, I thought David Adelman, for whatever he's doing, who knows, right? Being a new coach that's been there for like 3 games before the season ended or whatever. I thought that he did a fairly good job of getting them into different actions coming out of timeouts. I thought that,
yes,
look, like it's not like the players on the court are coming up with the exact defensive strategy that they're going to employ. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the fact that they're mixing up these doubles on Shea on his drives, that's not just coming from the players on the court. Like I think that David Adelman and I think that coaching staff really deserves a lot of credit in terms of being able to get Oklahoma City a bit out of its rhythm. Also, Oklahoma City was a disaster in the fourth quarter tonight. There's just not another way to phrase it to me. Oklahoma City took 19 more shots than the Denver Nuggets did in this game. They took 19 more shots. They won the rebounding battle 18-5 on the offensive glass. They won the turnover battle 14-11. Nothing about this box score and nothing about the first 3 quarters said that Denver should have been in this game, but they were because of the difficult shot making, because they took advantage of what presented itself. I thought that they did a good job on a couple of flare actions early to get Michael Porter Jr. going.
Yes.
And then that kind of snowballed a little bit down the hill and continued to roll. I think they did a really good job of getting Jamal Murray going in the first half as well. I think that is a real credit to the 2-man game that they have obviously done an amazing job of cultivating. But Oklahoma City was wrecking them in the first half. Like everything looked so easy against the 2-3 zone. Like the movement that Oklahoma City was employing was elite. They would have like cuts and then secondary delayed cuts off of it in order to take advantage of the rotating zone. They would try to do things like isolate Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on one side of the zone against Jokic, allow him to be able to drive against Jokic and then hit different driving kicks and swings around. What they were running was really intelligent. And on top of it, they continued to get Jokic into the ball screen action consistently. In the fourth quarter, I thought they just went pure mismatch hunt and they didn't do anything to get Jokic really in the ball screen action. I watched the last 7 minutes again of their offensive possessions just to kind of refresh my memory right before we went live. I think I counted once at the 3 to 3:30 mark, if I remember correctly, of overtime, where they involved Jokic in a ball screen, and it was like very early in the like action, and they just like kind of shut it down as they were all scrambling to get it back together. And then they went back to like a guard to guard action, or it might have been like a Dort screen or something, maybe Caruso, I can't remember. And Shea tried to drive and like get into the paint. But in the fourth quarter, it was all just like Shea trying to go, I'm going to win this myself, and go mismatch heavy ISO ball. And the thing that frustrated me most is like, I had a couple of fans like say to me in my mentions, like, oh, well, like, isn't the point of what Oklahoma City is, or what Denver is doing here, that they're in zone and that like, you can't come pull Jokic up? No, guys, they weren't in zone. They were in man to man. Like throughout, like there were a couple of possessions here and there where they flipped to the zone, but like they were in man to man for like the back part of that game.
I was just gonna say in an NBA zone isn't your, run of the mill high school or, like if you cut certain ways and run certain actions, you're going to get guys out of position. They're going to go with cutters. They're going to switch a ball screen. Like there are ways to, even a zone, there are going to be ways to get certain matchups you want because the floor is spread out. They can't just stand in the lane, all of that. Jokic had 2 fouls and I thought it was going to be another game. The first 2 games in this series, we saw a lot of turnovers from Jokic and we saw him in foul trouble. And I was like, man, the Thunder are going to continue to attack him and attack him and attack him. And I've been a little bit of a Jokic defensive defender all season in terms of just like, hey, he plays really good position. And he has these active hands and, stuff like that. I don't think he's been good in this series in general. Again, he came up with some disruption late in this game, finally where he got active, but going away from that, I wonder if the missed shots got in their head, or I wonder if the missed shots from his teammates got in SGA's head of I'm making all of these right decisions and, Dort's missing shots and, all of them, like they all missed shots tonight. They were 9 of 35 from 3. Chet was 1 of 6. SGA was 1 of 6 himself. Dort 0 of 4. Wiggins 1 of 3. Cason Wallace 0 of 2. And so it's just like, I wonder if SGA got to a point where, I don't think this is the right mindset, but of like, these guys aren't making shots. I'm going to go try to just get a bucket. And again, he would make buckets if he was getting wide open looks. So I think we need to continue to give the Denver defense a little bit of credit here.
Yeah.
That yes, OKC went ISO, but SGA is a pretty good isolation player, Sam. So somebody was guarding him or somebody was helping or stunting or digging or whatever to force him to go. What did he go tonight? 7 of 22, 1 of 6 from 3. So again, some shout out to Christian Brown and probably Aaron Gordon, etc., for holding up in those situations, because it's not like it's some bum trying to ISO you and take the game over.
I think that's so right. First and foremost, like Christian Brown, Aaron Gordon. I think Jamal Murray too, by the way, because Jamal Murray was the guy that they were trying to isolate a lot of the time. Like Jamal, he goes and like really does a good job physically, I think, of both being able to body up and wall up, but also when he gets beat, guiding SGA particularly to where his help is and where he knows he has bodies. So I think that Jamal deserves a lot of credit on defense in this thing as well. So it's really just staggering. Like there was a point in this game, I think, where Denver had a 71-69 lead in the third quarter, where OKC was 4 for 21 from 3 and Denver was 11 for 23 from 3. That is a 21-point difference from the 3-point line, and Denver was up 2 at that point. Like, if that doesn't tell you, and these weren't like, contested threes that Oklahoma City was missing. Yeah. They missed some wide ass open threes.
I mean, a lot of Michael Porter Jr.'s threes were heavily contested. And I'm not trying to.
The first 2 were open. I think that got him going where he saw the bucket because they ran those 2 flares.
They ran the flares
for him.
Yeah.
And J-Dub got caught on the screen twice. And I think that's what got him going, and where he saw the bucket just like look like a fucking ocean for him. Like,
but I know crazy. He had back-to-back makes. One was actually a mid-range jumper where like I thought J-Dub fouled him on the 3 and then on replay, I was like, he is literally right. When I see something like that, I'm like, I wonder how I would react. Could I make a jump shot whenever somebody was that close? And like my obvious answer is no, but it's just incredible the concentration that Porter Jr. has. And you've always given him credit, like playing through this shoulder injuries, and that was another thing to Adelman. One, he ran those flare actions that got him going. He hit threes. He also curled one, got to the rim and finished, but he also just stayed with Michael Porter Jr. And I know that seems obvious, but think about it. Everybody listen, how many times have you got upset at your coach, whether it was of the Nuggets, the Thunder, or some other team, because they didn't leave the hot hand in the game because somebody else maybe had been playing better and previous games, Porter Jr. plays 42 minutes tonight. Russ only plays 22. And so Adelman saw what was working. He stayed with it. And I do think he deserves a little bit. It's not the most important thing he did, but I think it is important to note that he made, I think, smart rotation decisions all game long, playing those guys. I thought he played Watson in the perfect amount of rotation minutes where, hey, go block a shot, go contest, knock down a jumper. Oh, that was a bad shot. We better get you out because you've exhausted your minutes now. And what was the Jokic minutes tonight, Sam? +5 in a game they won by 9. So that they did really well in the non-Jokic minutes. And we always highlight that.
Well, in the bench minutes too. Yeah, that's exactly right. Like even just like the Jokic with bench minutes, right? Like they won Peyton Watson's minutes by 7. Like if you look at the the Zeke Naji -7.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe I should backtrack a little bit. My bad. David Adelman, well done so far. Confused? Question mark? Why?
Here's the thing though, man.
Why?
Like, I kind of got it a little bit because I mean that second quarter where DeAndre Jordan was in game 2. I mean, it was just like open 3 after open 3 after open 3. Like they had nobody that they could put DeAndre on. So like I get trying something new at least. Yeah, that was crazy. And look, I mean, at a certain point, I mean, the guy who probably deserves, I don't even know about the most flowers. Like it was such a well-rounded, performance where Jamal had the 27 and was great in the 2-man game and against switches, and Porter was huge early. And, again, like Peyton Watson drills those 2 threes. I mean, like Aaron Gordon, like I kind of think he was the best player on the court outside of J-Dub tonight. Like, I really do think J-Dub was probably the best player on the court. It's just they kind of ice him out up until that possession late in the overtime where he finally got that spin and drive against. I think it was against Murray, and Murray stripped him, kind of coming down like a last resort. I thought Gordon was unbelievable tonight. He just continues to make enormous timely shots. And I mean, look, I don't know how you feel about this, but I do wonder if you just can't leave him at this point. Like they have been guarding him with Chet in order to use Chet as like a help man against Nikola Jokic, and that has worked well, actually. I wonder if you put Chet more consistently, this happens at times, you put Chet more consistently on Brown, and you kind of just have to guard Gordon with the way he's shooting. And look, I'm not saying that Christian Brown is a great guy to, leave wide open from 3, but seriously, if you look at like his last few games here, Aaron Gordon, 4 of 6 from 3 tonight, 2 of 3 from 3 in game 2, 3 of 6 from 3 in game 1. I mean, fuck, if I was a Oklahoma City fan, I would be like freaked out right now about like the PJ Washington assance of Aaron Gordon here. But like, here's the thing, like Aaron has made 3s this year too. So like, you can't say that it's like fully the PJ Washington experience again, but they are very clearly guarding him in a similar way to how they guarded PJ last year.
That's funny. What a series PJ had. Yeah. Listen, I'm with you. I think he looks really confident. I think it looks fluid. I think it looks smooth. I mean, I know the game was essentially over, but he even had like a mid-range jumper to like really put the icing on the cake in overtime. You definitely have to guard him in big moments right now, right? Like I feel like he's kind of proven that he's willing to step up and in those situations in this series. So I don't think you can continue to just say, hey, do your thing. You got to find him in transition. I mean, like, I think he made 1 off the dribble tonight where Kaysen went under the screen. Like maybe you're okay with those, but catch and shoot variety, I think he's knocking him down whenever he gets them. I mean, I know Russ has done well also. And, Christian Brown, like you said, he went 2 of 5 tonight, but it's really impressive from Aaron Gordon. I'm with you. I thought he was really good. Whenever you factor in the defense, the shot making, the all around game, and as much as Jokic struggled, especially for what we expect from him, just a huge performance from Aaron Gordon.
So like, I think where I'm still at is, I don't know, based on the process and everything, like Oklahoma City still should be the favorite in this series to me. But I mean, like if they're going to keep playing, like this has been the playoffs. People keep trying to come up with like all of these different buzzwords. Like this is the playoffs of depth. This is the playoffs of,
sure.
You know, X, Y, and Z. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I almost think like, and look, like every playoffs to some extent is this, like who executes down the stretch. But like, I feel it even more starkly this year where it's the superstars that are executing down the stretch right now. Brunson, Halliburton, Donovan Mitchell's had his moments. Like it's those guys right now, even more than the guys that, you know, were top 5 in MVP, like Tatum and Giannis and, you know, Jokic tonight, obviously Shea tonight. It's those guys that have been like closer killers more than anybody else that have swung the playoffs to me so far. Like people have been like saying, oh, like it's the playoffs of the weakest link or like whatever your depth is. Like, look, all that's important. I wouldn't even say like I totally disagree with that necessarily. I do think though that we're underrating almost like how the stars are performing as being indicative, especially late in games, of what is actually happening in these playoffs right now.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like the weakest link or whatever. Cause like I almost am like, I'm trying to think through the teams right now in terms of like even role play. Like I almost feel like what team, like the Aaron Gordon of each team, you know, is that the deciding factor in some of these series? And I don't know that I would even agree with that because you could probably find one of those on each team. Yeah, the execution thing is interesting. Like I'm trying to figure out what I would call the Knicks series so far, you know, with those two comebacks. Or like, what do I think the theme of the Cavs Pacers series is right now?
To me, like part of what it comes down to is with the way that these playoffs are being officiated, where it's just like a football game in the lane whenever guys go up and try and score, right? And it's just totally different from the regular season in that regard. It's just making end of game buckets so incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
And those guys that can really knock down shots from the perimeter or can, you know, these teams that can space it out and then allow, you know, guys to drive and get easy buckets. But like, it really is even more now onto the closers almost to me. It's either a blowout or like it's onto the closers essentially to be able to close these games out. And guys like Brunson, you know, Halliburton's had multiple moments in these series, everything like, or in these playoff games, like everything like that. Those are Aaron Gordon as well as obviously had like enormous moments where he's closed games for Denver. Murray's had a couple of moments here and there. Like those are the buckets are so hard to come by right now that I feel like those are just the guys that are swinging. And like, it's stupid to say that, like, of course the teams that are closing that are winning basketball games, like that's absolutely true. But I almost think it's more than that because of how difficult it is to actually get to spots in the playoffs right now in the lane because of how they're calling these games in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I wonder if there's something defensively as well. The teams that are able to make those clutch time defensive plays, right? We always think about the offensive end. Again, I'm thinking about the Knicks series right now, and you know, what are the first two plays people think about with the Knicks? Like if I say Mikal Bridges, yeah, he made shots in the fourth quarter, but they think about him ripping the ball out of Jaylen Brown's hands on the sideline out of bounds play and then blocking or stealing, you know, off of Tatum in game 2. And I think about that of the Nuggets game tonight. Like it wasn't necessarily all the shots they made. It was Gordon locking up. It was Christian Brown locking up. It was, you mentioned the Jamal Murray dig once J-Dub had spun and beat him. And so like I think it all plays into the same thing. saying, right? You're going to get defended really well and really physical. And you're probably going to have to do something in the mid range. You're probably going to have to do something or from the 3-point line. It's probably not going to be at the rim. And how well can you beat the defense? Can you create separation and those type of things? And I think the names you're saying right now are guys that have been able to knock down those shots and overcome that defense. And then on the other side, the teams that are winning these late are able to lock those guys up enough. Like they're putting the defensive stops together. That was, again, I know we're not trying to talk about the Knicks game tonight, but that was one thing that really impressed me when I went back and rewatched the game 2 of Knicks Celtics. Everybody remembers. It's very similar to tonight, actually, Sam. Everybody will talk about all the shots the Thunder missed throughout the game. And we highlighted how much that matters. But I hope they remember all the stops that Denver forced late in the fourth and in overtime. And the Knicks did that in game 2. The Celtics missed some wide open shots, but OG had some great defensive stops. Jalen Brunson had some nice defensive plays on Jaylen Brown. And so they were able to lock in clutch time on the defensive end to allow their offense to go to the other end and make those big shots as well.
So where are you now on this series?
I feel stupid. I still feel like OKC's the better team. That doesn't make sense though. Like, I just thought they should have won this game. And so I have a hard time walking away. I'll say Thunder in 7 for now, I guess, is where I would be.
I think that's where I'm at too. But like, we talked about this with the Celtics Knicks series, right? Like the Celtics now have to win 4 out of 5. They have to win 80% of their games, and look, like anything can happen in a 5-game stretch, right? But like they have to beat a team that won 50 plus games in 80% of their games the rest of the series, right? Yeah. We're now at a point where Oklahoma City has to beat a team that won 50 games and has the best player in the world in 3 out of 4, which is 75% of their games here moving forward in the series. Like, that's hard. And like, look, Oklahoma City won over 75% of its games this season, right? Like, you would kind of expect that they would be able to do that, but this is now where it becomes kind of the telltale sign. They have to figure this out.
Here's where I would be worried as a Thunder fan. You said it earlier. You just lost the Jokic bad game. Like, you didn't even win the game.
Correct.
Where he had 20 points on 25 shots with 8 turnovers. And I realize his statistically, the last 2 haven't been great, right? Because
I actually think that like part of that is Oklahoma City is genuinely doing a great job on him.
No, I agree.
Like, would not expect him to go 8 for 25 again, right? Your point, you're 100% right. I do think that what is frustrating him is the physical defense, having a big body like Hartenstein, having the help man with coming Chet, over with Chet. Like, they're really selling out to make his life more difficult.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Like, I wasn't trying to say like he just had a bad game. I think OKC is playing, their defense is playing, but like, do we really think Jokic is going to average 7 to 8 turnovers for this entire series? Like, do we not think one of the best processors of our game ever isn't going to figure this out a little bit? And if he doesn't, then like, no matter how the series goes, shout out the Oklahoma City defense, because that's incredible. But that you lost the really bad Jokic game. You lost it. That's when you have to win. Now, on the other side, OKC could say, yeah, we lost the game where they shot 16 of 30 from 3 if you take Jokic's misses out, right? But I don't know. I said it going in. I felt pretty good about what this series would be. I thought OKC would guard them, and they had 102 at regulation. If OKC's offense wasn't there, it would be close games, and it looks like Denver may figure out how to win those close games, which isn't good. So OKC has to blow them out. OKC has to make shots. And I said, if they found their offense and Denver wasn't locked in defensively, I thought OKC would win some games big. But it looks to me like those are the 2 options in this series, Sam. OKC make shots, they blow Denver out, they win. They don't make shots, they keep it close. And right now, I'm picking Denver versus OKC over OKC in a close game. I'm sorry, I just am based off what we've seen so far.
Yeah. And like, honestly, a part of that is I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. I think the world of Mark Daigneault as a coach and as somebody who has done an amazing job of creating this defense that is very, very difficult to deal with. I think he typically does a great job of creating a scheme that spaces the court and creates a lot of opportunities for Shea to be able to get downhill and to be able to create a lot of opportunities for J-Dub and actualizing Hartenstein's floater. And there are so many different ways that I am a Mark Daigneault guy. I have been very unimpressed with him in the playoffs so far as an in-game adjustments level tactician. And I really think that it could just be a circumstance where, like, you know, these 2 years, last year and this year, he's kind of getting his feet under him and figuring things out from, you know, what he has to do in those moments. What is too light of a touch? What is too heavy, right? It's all a learning experience for these guys, right? But the team won 68 freaking games, Bryce. Like, they were 2 wins from being a 70-win team. That's crazy. That's insane. They're the best defense, like, compared to league average that we've seen in so long. This team is wildly good.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like, it's crazy to me.
Listen, I said this about the Cavs, and the thing with the OKC is optionality is great as long as you pick the right options. And so, like, there's a little bit of, I would play Aaron Wiggins more. I think Aaron Wiggins is really good at basketball, and he played what, 11, how many minutes? 13 minutes tonight. And listen, you won't find a bigger Lou Dort fan, Sam, than me, but Lou's jumper did not look great tonight.
Yeah,
I thought some minutes there could have went a little different way, especially down the stretch.
Could have gone to Caruso, could have gone to Wiggins.
Yeah.
Like, you know, Kaysen Wallace played 20 tonight. And Kaysen was great in game 2. So, like, I understand playing Kaysen, but, like, you have a number of different options here where you can go to Wiggins, you can go to Caruso. Like, those are the 2 guys tonight that I thought were, like, really quite good for them off the bench.
Yeah.
And it, like, I thought Jalen was okay too. Like, I don't want to,
he was fine.
There, Jalen Williams, but, like, he's just, like, you know, the backup big that comes in and does his job. Yeah, it is interesting the way that he's utilizing his rotation. I agree with you.
It's just, again, we always look at it as a positive, and I think in general everybody would agree it's a positive if you use it the right way. Where, like, I'm giving Adelman credit for his rotation. What's he gonna do? You gonna put in, you know, he put in Hunter Tyson in that game. You know, is he going to put in Jalen? Like, no, you play your starters as much as possible. You use Russ for energy, and you play Peyton Watson for 3 to 4 minutes at a time, as long as it's going okay. Though, again, I you know, out of respect, I did give him credit for it, but it's a little bit different whenever you're trying to decide who plays and who shouldn't. Those decisions are a little tougher for Daigneault, but that doesn't mean it's okay to get him wrong. And I don't even know that he got him wrong. It's just like, it may be like, even Chet not starting overtime was interesting to me. And I didn't think Chet was great tonight, but it definitely was like, that's interesting.
Like, he must have needed like a blow or something,
because
like,
and they may have got to it anyway. They had SGA as the low man, but, like, Jokic beats Hartenstein off the bounce. And what have we said this whole time? Well, there was always Chet there to meet him as a secondary defender. Well, if Chet's on the bench, he's not meeting him there as the secondary defender. So
right.
It was interesting. And yeah, you're right. Maybe there was a minutes thing there and he needed to rest, but man, it's been fun. Like, I think the 2 series that I was most excited about, this one and then the one we're about to talk about, I think they've given us everything. It's been everything I thought they were going to be so far. And it's not like the other 2 have been bad series, other than, of course, the one has been dominated by a major injury. So,
yeah.